You've known this feeling. That moment when someone seems to click with you. They meet your gaze, offer the perfect smile, say just what you needed to hear. It feels honest, comforting, almost too good to be true. But a tiny voice whispers, "Something's wrong." And by the time that whisper turns to a shout, they've already taken what they wanted. This isn't just about being friendly, it's about being sharp. The dark empath doesn't chase anyone. They pull you closer. They speak your own secret language, echo the hurts you keep hidden, and offer a safe place while quietly twisting your thoughts. You never hear the door close. You only feel the trap when it's soft, comfortable, and locked tight. They are not cold like people who love themselves too much. They are colder. Because they truly get you. They see you for who you are and still decide to use you. This video is more than a warning. It's a starting point for you. You will learn how to become something the world can't defend against. A presence that offers comfort and then slowly takes over. A smile that seems to save, but then guides you where they want you to go. No anger, no meanness, just quiet watching, careful learning, and hitting the right emotional spots every time. If this deep knowing stirs something within you, if you're ready to command your own emotional landscape, then join this growing force. Subscribe now and become truly untouchable. This is your rise. Empathy, your new strong suit. This world doesn't care for soft hearts. Empathy, kindness, being sensitive, things once seen as good, are now often treated like weak points. If you are the type who feels things deeply, who truly understands pain, who actually listens, you are often the first one to get chewed up and spit out. But what if that deep feeling didn't make you weak? What if it became the sharpest weapon you carry? This is where the dark empath is born. Not as someone who preys on others, not as a trickster, but as someone who learned to survive. Someone who felt too much for too long and finally decided to stop letting others make them bleed. The dark empath moves through the world like a mirror. They see the secret pains behind every brave face, the fear behind every threat, the emptiness in every loud boast. But they don't get caught up in the drama anymore. They use what they see to keep themselves safe. They don't use emotions to hurt. They just deal with them. They carry their own storms in quiet and walk into rooms like they already know what everyone is hiding. And in a world built to crush sensitive people, that kind of quiet power is truly scary. You don't just wake up and choose to be this way. You become this way because being kind all the time didn't work. Because being honest got you taken advantage of. Because trying to be good nearly ruined you. So now you don't shout, you don't explain yourself, you watch, you take everything in, you change. You've learned to control your deep empathy, not to trick others, but to shield yourself from them. Because the more you felt for others, the more you got hurt. So you stopped trying to make others understand you. Now you understand everyone else, and you trust no one. The dark empath isn't without a heart. They've just had to bury the parts of their heart that kept getting stabbed. And once you reach that point, there's no going back to the old you. You rise. Not to control the world, but to live in it without being broken by it again. You don't announce to the world that you've changed. You don't post it online. You don't tell everyone about it. You just become someone they can no longer reach or touch. That's how the dark empath grows. Not with loud chaos, not with cruel acts, but with pure, clear seeing. A cold, clear, beautiful way of seeing things. You stop explaining yourself. You stop defending your good nature. You stop giving people endless chances just because you can feel where their hurt comes from. Because one day you realize, feeling their pain doesn't mean you have to carry it for them. That's the moment everything changes. You've always seen people more clearly than they see themselves. Their joys, their lies, their loneliness. Their true feelings have always been loud to you, even when hidden behind smiles and small talk. But before, that clear sight made you weak. It made you a target. You tried to help. You tried to save. You tried to love without limits. And they used it. They drained your energy. Not because they were evil, but because you were so open. They took what was soft in you and mistook it for weakness, over and over again. Until one day you didn't break, you became strong. That's when the shift happens. That's when the empath becomes something different, something sharper, quieter, more exact. That's when you become the dark empath. But not the villain they fear. You don't trick people. You don't lie. You don't plot bad things. You simply stop hurting for people who wouldn't do the same for you. And that quietness is terrifying to them. You start watching more than you speak. You start listening not to comfort, but to remember every detail. You become watchful, smart, very careful with your emotions. You don't confront people anymore. You let them show their true selves. You don't argue. You simply disappear. You don't look for answers from others. You close that chapter yourself. You use your emotional radar not to fix people, but to steer clear of them. To read them fully before they can even form a sentence. To know exactly when someone is lying, trying to flatter you, pretending or testing your limits. You walk into rooms and you can feel what everyone is hiding. You don't react, you don't speak about it, you just adjust yourself. And that ability to adjust, that control, that's what makes you powerful. Not because you play games, but because you no longer allow anyone else to play games with you. You don't look for approval from others. You don't need to be liked. You don't sacrifice your peace of mind just to fit in. You belong to yourself now. And the world hates that. Because most people are putting on a show. They need attention, they need others to react to them, they are controlled by their need to be accepted. But not you. You've trained yourself to do well in quiet. To stay calm when others try to upset you. To walk away with dignity, instead of holding on out of fear. And that's the real threat. Because nothing scares weak people more than someone they can't make feel bad, can't shame, can't control through kindness or connection. Someone who sees right through them and still refuses to get caught up in their drama. They'll call you cold. They'll call you selfish. They'll say you've changed. And you have. You've stopped giving up your inner self just to make others comfortable. The dark empath doesn't use emotion to destroy. They use it to survive. They don't turn empathy into a weapon to harm others. They wear it like a strong shield. They feel things deeply, but only for those who have truly earned that closeness. They connect, but never at the cost of their own well-being. In a world where deep feelings are taken advantage of and quietness is mistaken for weakness, becoming a dark empath isn't about becoming evil, it's about becoming immune. Immune to guilt. Immune to being tricked. Immune to the endless noise of people trying to use your good nature against you. And once you reach that state, once you truly accept that not everyone deserves your light, you don't just survive the world, you move through it like a shadow, untouched, untroubled, unshaken. Because nothing is more dangerous than a person who has the ability to feel everything, and the discipline to protect themselves from all of it. You're not heartless, you just stopped showing your heart to people who treated it like a dirty mat. You're not cold, you've just stopped burning yourself alive to keep others warm. But that's not how the world sees it, is it? Because when you were open, gentle, and forgiving, they smiled. When you gave them full access to your time, your feelings, your energy, they called you pure. But the moment you changed, the moment you set a clear limit, the moment you said no without explaining, suddenly you became difficult, proud, cold. That's the puzzle of the dark empath. You feel everything, you understand everyone, but no one truly understands you, and that's not by chance, it's a careful design. Because once you've been hurt enough, you stop showing your deepest self to everyone, you learn to read a room without showing your own intentions. You let others speak while you quietly figure out their patterns. You let them misunderstand you, because their guesses tell you more about them than any explanation you could give. They call you mysterious. distant, maybe even dangerous. Good, let them. The more they think little of you, the more space you have to move without being noticed. The more they project their own issues onto you, the more they show their own weaknesses. And the less they understand you, the more power you hold. Because here's the truth, power isn't about being seen by everyone. Power is about being impossible to read. People fear what they can't easily put into a box. And the Dark Empath doesn't fit any box. You're not a manipulator, but you're not naive. You're not cruel, but you won't accept disrespect. You're not loud, but your silence is very strong. You sit in rooms where everyone is pretending to be confident, pretending to be happy, pretending to be in control, and you see through it all. You know who is lying to themselves. You know who is pretending to like you. You know when someone is being fake nice just to get you to lower your guard. And instead of confronting them, you watch. You gather information. You remember their behavior. You let people ruin themselves with their own acts. And that's what makes you powerful. Because you're not trying to prove anything anymore, you're not trying to fix people, you're not trying to be liked. You're playing a different game now, one they can't even see. It's not about controlling others, it's not about being bossy, it's about being free. You've freed yourself from needing to be understood, and in doing so you've become untouched by their opinions. Their praise doesn't affect you. Their insults don't bother you. They don't know who you truly are. They never did. And now, they never will. Because the Dark Empath is a puzzle they can't solve. Gentle but untouchable. Kind but firm. Emotional but always in control. You walk alone not because you hate people, but because you finally understood that not everyone deserves to be close to you. You became selective. And in this age of needing constant approval, being selective is a powerful act. Let them call it pride. Let them say you've changed. They're right. You've changed in the most dangerous way possible. You feel everything and owe nothing to anyone. And the more misunderstood you are, the safer you become. They think emotional intelligence is a soft skill. They think being able to read people makes you weak. That feeling too much means you'll be eaten alive. But here's what they don't get. When you're a Dark Empath, emotions aren't a weakness. They're a weapon. You walk into a room and your senses switch on. The tone in their voice, the slight twitch in their eye, the fake laugh, the tight smile. You don't just hear words, you read the truth hidden under the words. And that's where your power lies. You're not just reacting, you're planning your next move. Most people walk blindly into traps. You see the trap before it's even set. You see the betrayal before the handshake. You see the knife while they're still smiling. That's what true emotional intelligence is. Smart survival. You're not trying to control anyone. You're not trying to play mind games. You're trying to protect your own peace in a world that profits from your stress and upset. And the irony. The world only praises emotional intelligence when it benefits them. When you use your empathy to help others, they love you. When you use your empathy to protect yourself, they fear you. Because the moment you stop hurting for everyone else, the moment you turn that deep emotional sense inward towards self-respect, clear boundaries, and your own vision, they no longer get anything from you. You're no longer the emotional helper. You're no longer the easy shoulder for their problems. Now you're a mirror. And mirrors scare people who don't like what they see in themselves. They'll say you've become too serious, too distant, too intense, but really you've become aware. You've stopped explaining yourself. You've stopped trying to justify your quietness. You've stopped smiling just to make others comfortable. Because you've seen what most people miss, that in the real world, empathy without being aware is simply self-destruction. The Dark Empath doesn't fall into that trap. You've made your ability to feel into a strong tool. You can sense hidden intentions before they even appear. You can feel manipulation like a sudden cold draft. You can walk away without warning because you don't need proof anymore. You've seen enough. This isn't paranoia. This is simply recognizing patterns. The ones who call you cold are the ones who can't control you. The ones who say you're too sensitive are the ones who can't handle your clear sight. And the ones who think they've fooled you, you saw through them a long time ago. But you say nothing, because you've learned silence is sharper than any argument. Your emotional intelligence is no longer a bridge for others to walk all over. It's a strong fort, it's a filter. It's how you survive the quiet battles of daily life, without scars that others can see. This is not about being heartless, it's about being smart with your heart. You're not shutting down your feelings. You're locking them behind a strong wall with a secret code only you know. You watch people first. You let them show you who they truly are. And when they think you're an easy book to read, that's when you disappear from their story completely. You are not just a character in their story. You are the one writing your own. You no longer beg to be seen. You choose who sees you. And in that choice lies your power. The Dark Empath doesn't need to manipulate, because they already know what's going to happen. They don't need to control others, because they've mastered themselves. And in this harsh world, that's the most dangerous power of all. There comes a point when the fight ends, not because the world stopped attacking, but because you stopped reacting to it. You're not broken. You're not angry. You're just done. This is where the Dark Empath becomes something even more dangerous, untouchable. You've studied human nature like a doctor on a battlefield. You've seen the lies, the betrayals, the sweet smiles hiding bad intentions. You've given people more chances than they deserved, but not anymore. Now you work in silence. Now you move like a shadow. Now you've built a world no one else can enter unless they earn it. Not beg, not cry, not trick, earn. You no longer explain why you're not there. You no longer defend your personal limits. You no longer take part in the drama, the noise, the guilt trips, because you've mastered the art of stepping back emotionally. They think you're cold. They think you've changed. And they're right, you've grown. The Dark Empath has moved from just surviving emotions to truly owning their emotions. You don't chase people anymore. You chase your goals. You chase truth. You chase peace. You've turned your empathy inward, and now it protects you, instead of hurting you. Because you've learned that being good is dangerous when the world feeds on good people. So you stopped hurting yourself to prove your worth. You stopped over-explaining to be understood. You stopped showing up for people who wouldn't try hard for you after you went through so much for them. And now you're free. Not the kind of freedom that shouts, but the kind of freedom that walks away without a sound. No explanations, no announcements, just quiet. You've learned to smile without trusting, to listen without taking on problems, to love without losing yourself. This is the final form of the Dark Empath. Not someone who plays games, but someone who refuses to be played. You don't expose people, you let them expose themselves. You don't fight for your place. You walk into the room and take charge, not with noise, but with your quiet strength. They feel it. The weight, the calm power, the eyes that are hard to read. Because you've become a mirror that shows nothing back unless you choose to. You're not an open book anymore. You're a locked story. And only those with the patience, pain, and pure heart to understand your pages get to read your truth. Most won't. And you're fine with that. Because now your world is quiet. And in that quiet, you hear everything. You see everything. You predict everything. And that is why you are untouchable. You are not here to be liked. You are not here to be accepted. You are here to survive, grow, and control your own reality, with empathy that has become sharp insight, and silence that has become power. They can't understand you. They can't control you. They can't even reach you. You've become what the world fears the most. Someone who once cared deeply, but no longer needs anyone to breathe. You've become the ghost they can't bother, the soul they can't trick, the heart they can't break. They said kindness is a strength, that empathy will save the world, that if you just keep being good, everything will eventually fall into place. But you've lived long enough to know that's a lie. The world isn't fair. It doesn't reward good people. It uses them. It doesn't protect sensitive people. It hurts them badly. And those who feel deeply are the first ones left bleeding. You tried to do it the right way. You gave, you forgave, you stayed loyal even when it hurt you. And what did it get you? Disappointment, betrayal, loneliness. So you stopped trying to be someone's hero, and you started becoming your own weapon. That's what it means to be a dark empath. Not evil, not manipulative, not heartless, but smart, aware, dangerously self-controlled. You didn't lose your empathy. You simply stopped wasting it. You learned to understand people without giving them a way back into your soul. You trained your mind to feel everything but obey nothing. You mastered the power of silence. And most importantly, you stopped saying sorry for your strength. Because here's the truth most people will never say out loud. The world doesn't care about your good intentions. It only responds to influence, strong presence, and quiet power. And the dark empath has all three. You don't shout for attention. You command it just by being there. You don't trick people. You let them show themselves, and you act based on that. You don't fear being left alone. You choose quiet time over foolish loyalty. You don't beg, you watch. You don't chase, you attract. And when you walk away, it's final. This is not about becoming cruel, it's about becoming untouchable. You're still able to love, but it's no longer blind. You're still kind, but with boundaries as sharp as knives. You still feel, but you don't let those feelings run your life. You've taken your pain, your quietness, your deep emotions, and turned them into armor. You are the wolf that blends into the flock until the moment it matters. And by then it's too late. The world will misunderstand you. They'll call you cold, calculating, distant. Let them. You don't need approval from the same people who once tried to break you. You're no longer trying to fit in. You're building a strong place from the pieces they tried to bury you under. This is your power. You didn't become a dark empath by accident. You were made strong in hard times, sharpened by betrayal, strengthened by every time you had to stay quiet while being torn apart. And now you stand alone. Not because you couldn't belong, but because you chose not to give in. You see the world for what it is. A game, a battlefield, a stage full of masks. And you walk through it all, eyes wide open, untroubled, unbreakable. That's why you're dangerous. Because you feel everything, and still play to win. Because you know darkness, and don't run from it. Because you have empathy, but not for fools. You're no longer trying to save the world. You're building your own. And to anyone watching who's felt like they were too soft, too emotional, too broken to make it in this world, understand this. You don't need to change who you are. You need to stop giving your power to people who never deserved it. Become the dark empath, the one who listens, understands, and never forgets. The one who no longer asks, only acts. The one who rises alone and never falls again. This world doesn't need more smiles. It needs more people who know pain and still move forward. Who carry empathy like a sword, not a weakness. So if this felt right to you, this is your sign. Subscribe. Turn on the bell. And send this to the quiet one who's about to rise. Because your story isn't over. It's just begun. And now, the world will learn what happens when someone who feels deeply stops playing nice. You are the dark empath. You were made for this.